Hi there, I'm Jordan, host of PeopleFirst, the Young Careers podcast. In today's episode, we're looking at working in recruitment. And full disclaimer, I work for an agency. Brook Street is the longest standing recruitment agency in the UK. But did you know that there's actually so many other jobs that you can get in this industry? Maybe you've got an idea of recruitment in your head, but does that actually match the reality? And could it even be the right industry for you? Recruitment is a very fast-paced environment and it's so people-focused. That's why I love it. And in today's episode, I was really lucky to be joined by my colleague Darren Lynch from our Belfast office, just to chat through the highs and lows of recruitment. I really love filming this episode and I hope you'll enjoy listening. So as we always ask on the show, what was your first job ever, Darren? And how did you segue into recruitment?
Well, this I think could be a podcast in itself, but I'll try and keep it short and sweet. My first job all those years ago was an electrician. So I was on the tools. I left school, became an electrician by trade and did that for some time. But due to a bad car crash I had when I was 17, I broke too many bones in my body and had too much. I had brain injuries and stuff, and I had to then take a turn and go somewhere else. So I went back. I then transitioned into the world of call centers.
As many of us did, to be honest.
For 4 or 5 years, it was probably the best time. You know, when you look back on it, on that career, although the times were hard and it's not an easy job back in those days, still a lot of fun. There was a lovely group mentality there, wasn't there? And camaraderie and stuff, definitely in the call centers. It was special. That kind of went through. I'd done a bit of management in the call centers, done a bit of sales training in the call centers, and then transitioned over. I think I just took a real moment once, walked past a travel agent's, walked in one day and walked out 25 minutes later with a one-way flight to Australia and a working holiday visa.
Brilliant.
So there was 2 years in Australia, working and traveling in Australia, came back home, worked for a holiday company then. So I kind of combined that sales experience with that love for travel, worked in travel for another big lump of years over a few different jobs. Then ultimately was working for a travel company in Belfast. My now wife then started working there. We entangled, so to say. We got together. I made the move and said, okay, I'll leave because I don't think I could stick you in work as much as I could stick you in home. So I'm only joking. I then moved into recruitment in 2016. So I've been in recruitment, taking this long journey since February 2016, and very happy I did that.
Oh, that's great. And for the listeners, if you haven't noticed, me and Darren are both from Belfast in Northern Ireland. So we've had, I would say, a pretty similar journey into the market. I spent obviously my first couple of years recruiting in Belfast as well. So if anyone needs subtitles, please request from the marketing team. But just kicking off the questions, I guess, Darren, do you think recruitment attracts a kind of typical person? And if so, what are the qualities in that person that you actually like to see?
I think one of the qualities in the person that you like to see is definitely a good salesperson. Yeah. Somebody's bubbly out there, someone you can kind of see that they'll have the ability to build a relationship with both your candidates and clients. A good communicator, good talker, and someone can see the big picture. You know, recruitment I'm obviously we'll go through this today, but the recruitment from an outside perspective can mean different things to different people. So coming to an interview with a branch manager and having that opportunity to start a career in recruitment can mean different things to different people. But if you can show an ability to get out there and sell the product, sell where you're at and what you want to build to the right people and find the right people, then you'd be a good asset to any recruitment company. Yeah. It always comes down to, I think, you can be one person coming into recruitment and be a different person after a little bit of time. When you start to see what recruitment can do for you in regards to earning potential, the camaraderie of working together in a team, and the self-development recruitment can give you, it kind of creates a different person after a period of time as well. Yeah. But initially, good sales, good communicator, good talker, and an outgoing personality is a really strong point to have.
Definitely. And bringing it right back then, Darren, would you be able to give me a bit of a dictionary definition of what a recruitment consultant would do? So bring it really back to basics. What is the day-to-day, I guess?
So we find good people for good people. Do you know, a recruitment consultant places good people in good jobs, you know? So I think ultimately we're building relationships with clients, we're talking to clients, we're understanding their problem. Well, we're identifying their problem as much as identifying and providing a solution as well. So we need to, as recruitment professionals, we can embrace our clients from an outside perspective and make them aware of alternatives to their current recruitment model. We find the people, we register the people, we make sure they are wholeheartedly in the game. They know what they want from their career, and we help them find the right place to go to work. So yeah, ultimately we find the right solution to a problem that we've identified with a client. So what does a recruitment do? We go out there and build relationships with clients. We have long, deep discussions. We understand a problem they have in their market. We understand the problem we understand a small difference in their current recruitment drive and how they do things. And we can advise, we educate as well. So we're not just all about placing good people with the right place. We can educate those clients as well in what the market has to offer, what the recruitment trends are in the market as well, and make them aware of maybe what they need to do to probably adjust a couple of things within their business to find the right person, to create longevity as well, and just again, identifying the right people, putting them into work with the right place. But a recruitment consultant, both temporary and permanent, offers so much more to our candidates as well. So it's not all one-sided. It's not about the clients. It's about building the relationships. It's about identifying the right candidate. So sometimes in certain cases, there may not be the client, there may not be a job role there right now, but we can identify the candidates, we can identify their skills and what they can bring to the table. And that can give us motivation as well to reach out to our contacts that we have in our portfolio and say, I have X, Y, and Z in this candidate who I think will be a great fit for your business. And in certain cases, we can put people together in that transaction as well.
It's a matchmaking service at the end of the day, isn't it? I think it is like completely. You
Absolutely
put it perfectly. You're solving a problem for both ends of the parties. I need a job, or I want to benefit my career, and I need candidates that are hungry. It's at both ends of the coin. What you just mentioned about if there isn't a job available, that's actually how I found my start in recruitment. So I had been working in a very small menswear brand in Northern Ireland. I always thought I wanted to work in fashion. That was it. And it was awful. It just was not the job I imagined it to be. And I really wanted out. And I remember dealing with a recruitment consultant. Her name is Rachel. And she had put me forward for an interview, a very, very junior marketing role in one of the Magic Circle law firms that we have in Belfast. And I went I had the call with her, had my interview, and I went in and met her in the agency that she worked in Belfast. And I think I brought her a coffee to say thank you or something, because I was so fresh and I only was grateful that someone was taking such an interest in me, if that makes sense. And she told her MD about me in the recruitment agency in Belfast, and I ended up staying there for nearly 4 years. So that's how I got my start in the industry. And I didn't even realise that recruitment marketing was a thing. We're obviously going to talk about recruitment consultants in this podcast, but there is a whole other sphere of other roles that happen in the recruitment mix. It isn't just in delivery. And I always think, like, if I hadn't met that one person, or hadn't brought them that coffee, or hadn't went for that interview, how different the trajectory of your life would have been then. You know what I mean?
I often think there's a few people I meet in my journey that I'm sorry I met, but that's the flip side of things.
Exactly, on the other side of the coin. And if we think about Darren, and I've just touched upon it there, if we think about what jobs exist in the recruitment industry, what would you say is sort of the main areas?
Well, yeah, you touched on it yourself. That there's a few opportunities out there that people don't see at the face value. There's a lot of people working behind the scenes to make every recruitment business perfect and work. But from an outside perspective, if you're entering into the world of recruitment, you've got consultancy, a recruitment consultant, temp consultant, or perm consultants. Mm-hmm. So very different worlds, two very different people. It's servicing two very different markets.
Yeah.
A temp consultancy can be very reactive, and I need this now, and I needed it yesterday. Mm-hmm. Whereas perm recruitment can be very, it's not slow. It just takes a little bit more time. Longer burn.
It does. If you think about if you're doing legal recruitment as well, Darren, like some people can have 3-month-long notice periods and things like that between jobs. So some aspects of perm, you're really playing the long game,
Yeah, and they have their own. A perm consultant has their own skill set compared to a temporary consultant. Yeah. A temporary consultant has the ability to be reactive, as I said, and understand those candidates within that pipeline who can be reactive with them and will drop at a hat to go where they need to go. But a permanent consultant, they've got this ability not only to nurture a candidate through a journey of recruitment into a new career, but obviously you said if it's a legal opportunity, accounts, lead accounts, senior accounts, sales or admin as well, these can come with 3-4 weeks, 2-month notice periods, and there's an engagement piece there.
Yeah,
so a perm consultant has the ability to engage and nurture a candidate through that journey, whereas temp consultants are different. And again, if temp or perm consultancy is not for you, there's account management as well. Mm-hmm. So whereas temp and perm consultancy needs for you to go out and find the business, grow the desk, create that little world around you. Account management very much is on the flip side of things. There's a lot of management of candidates. There's a lot of selling of jobs to people. And there's a lot of relationships with that client, but it's usually only an individual client or a small selection of clients that you're managing that account as well. So there's temp consultants, perm consultants, account management, but of course then you've management. So you could have branch managers. You could you could have head of regions who looks after the branch managers, or you have operations and senior operations and senior leads. So there's lots of opportunities to do many different things that suit many different people in this game as well.
No, I mean, it makes complete sense. And if you think about all our colleagues, Darren, you know what I mean? There's some that we think about that maybe are the more delivery focused, or they want to be speaking, they're hammering the phones all day, every day, speaking to their candidates. Or if you think about some of the project managers that we know that are managing big implementations or doing things to benefit systems to sort of improve our outputs and things like that. I'm obviously in marketing and sit in like a 10-person marketing team. So there's so many different ways that people can fall into it, And I think something I would want to touch upon as well is being a recruitment consultant is a beautiful way to make money, isn't it? If you're hungry for it, you can make it, and there's the amount of earning potential if you're up for it is there. But if you're someone like me who's not money hungry, I'm not motivated by money. I'm not driven by a fee or anything like that, which of course, disclaimer, not all recruitment consultants are. That's not what they're in it for. But I think that there's so many different ways that you can get into this industry and really benefit your career from it,
Yeah, I think, listen, you've hit the nail on the head. The world of recruitment will literally suit everybody because there's a different opportunity within the world of recruitment for different people. If you're money hungry, if you're motivated for success, or if you just want to do well for yourself and your family, there's a different opportunity. But ultimately, the earning potential as a recruitment consultant can be, and hence the word ridiculous, it really, really can be, uncapped earning potentials. And I've seen it firsthand. There was a period of my recruitment career when the end of the month was just ridiculous. I was earning more than I could even spend. And then I took a different journey, and I decided that management, being able to nurture people, train people, and bring people through that process was what I wanted, and I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity.
And what's your motivator then? If we're going back to it, if we're being honest, what was your motivator back in the day?
Back in the day when I didn't have, I'm a father now. I have 3 amazing children, and I'm happily married. But back in the day before the kids and marriage, money was a motivator, 100%.
Yeah,
I wanted
100%.
the beer tokens by the end of the week. I wanted to have enough money to have a nice holiday in summertime. I didn't have to worry. I didn't want to have to worry about not having the cash for a Saturday night out with the mates.
Yeah.
Money was a motivator. And as I mentioned earlier, I made a conscious decision to go from being a selling consultant to manager. I had a really great opportunity to do that. And I've kind of self-developed myself within that period of management as well, so that I could constantly learn and constantly understand the market. But then my motivator changed. I wanted to be able to develop other people. I wanted to make sure other people are happy in their job, happy doing what they're doing. A manager is so much more than just KPIs, reports, and figures. It's also people. You manage people, and you want to make sure the people that work for you are ultimately happy, earning good money.
Yeah, I agree. And if you didn't ask, I'm going to tell you what mine is, and you'll relate to it probably more than most other guests would. But we call it the community. I grew up in the community in Northern Ireland, and seeing people who really, to call a spade, I grew up in one of the most deprived areas of Northern Ireland, where the unemployment rate was through the roof. People didn't have jobs, or people were lucky if they got a trade. A lot of people didn't really dream big, I guess, would be the thing I would use. And I think I was one of them. Like, I left school, I barely any GCSEs or anything like that, but when you find something that I think you enjoy and you really get the motivator in it, I love helping people, Darren, to be honest with you. And my thing is, especially whenever I was working on Brook Street, last year I helped, I think, 1,000 people get into work, and most of those were from coming off universal credit. Most of them had been caring for elderly, or had a reason why they were on universal credit, or just out of work basically. But I think from that, moving into the other side of it, it's the stature almost. You can be exposed to so many amazing, sexy, wonderful brands that you would never even think that you were going to touch before. I was lucky there. I looked after like 3 of the biggest recruitment agencies in the UK at 27. Like, that's a pride thing, So obviously we've touched on the driver, but there is other things. But I think from what we both said, it all comes back to it being a people-focused industry,
Yeah. And on that, if I could just jump in, I don't want to caveat away from the point, but I think that's a really strong point that you've made, growing up in the community that you grew up in. I've obviously grew up in a community. Irrelevant, it's the same community or different community. We grow up, and I don't know at what stage we know really what we want to do in life. And I tell you, I've spoken to 17, 18-year-olds who had no idea what they wanted. I've spoken to 25, 30-year-olds who have no idea what they wanted. And I have noticed as well, what's a great thing about being a recruitment consultant or working in the industry that we're in, we are the professionals. We have the ability to sit down with somebody and say, okay, you've come in for this job. And say, for example, it's an admin position in the local hospital.
Yeah.
You've come in because you've seen the job online. You've come to our branch. We like to meet everybody. You've sat down. We're looking at your CV, looking at your experience. And we always ask the question, well, where do you want to go from here? Mm-hmm. Is this the job you want, or do you want something else? And many, many times people say, I don't know.
Yeah.
I just seen this job online. I need money. I need that, but they don't understand the opportunities available. But as recruitment professionals, there's many a time that I've looked at somebody and I've given, for example, there was an opportunity I had with, I'll not say his name, but probably 5 or 6 years ago, I registered somebody who was coming in for an administration job. Mm-hmm. But he came from a family of drivers and warehouse people and warehouse managers.
And he had that already. Basically,
yeah, he had that already in his blood. He knew the logistics. He knew the world of logistics. He knew the world of, distribution and warehouse. He came from a country's place in Northern Ireland as well. So he understood that. And I was able to sit down and say to him, actually, I have an opportunity here, not just in the hospital, but I have an opportunity here in one of the biggest logistics and transport businesses in Northern Ireland as a warehouse manager. Mm-hmm. And we were able to put him in that position, and he's still there to this day.
Great.
So we, as you started that conversation by saying the community you're part of, when you're in that community and coming through that you don't see these job opportunities.
You don't.
Very rarely did we ever have a careers person sit down with us and say, hey, here's 100 jobs you could do. It wasn't. People just come up and they think they're working in the shipyards, working in offices in town, or cleaners. There's not, we have the ability to look at somebody's core skills and say, well, I think you can do this.
Yeah.
We then use our ability and our contacts with our clients and go to the side and say, do you know what? I have this guy. He hasn't got that experience, but he has the need or the want to do this really well.
Yeah.
And I think with the right kind of coaching from yourself, he can do really, really good.
Yeah.
So there's lots of benefits as much as who do we want in this business? What's the right person? But the right person sometimes as well is somebody who wants to succeed in helping other people.
Yeah, well, you can teach the desire to work, and I've said that a few times on this podcast. Like, that hunger that's there is like completely it. And listen, I was going to say between us, they're literally on a podcast, but like, I'm great to have that at a dinner party, because someone will tell me something they're good at, and I'm straight on the transferable skills. Right, you work in a bar. Have you ever thought about going into alcohol advertising? Do you know what I mean? It's just you're like pointing out the key things. I feel like I dream bigger for people or something like that.
Yeah.
But guess moving on, I think we've talked about some of the positives about being a recruitment consultant, but I do think we should touch upon that sometimes recruiters can get a bad name. And I don't know, if I think about the recruiters that I know, Darren, right? If you think about some of them, it's the navy suit, isn't it? And the brown shoes, and they're hammering in the bars after work, and they're talking about everybody, and there's no discretion, and it's a boys' club. That's, I think, what I hear all the time. But what do you think? What do you think are the most common misconceptions about working in recruitment?
I think working in recruitment, it's not. I think there's lots of family people. I'm a father. Yeah. I'm 3 kids. I'm married, and I know lots of other husbands, wives, partners that do this for a job. So they don't go out. They don't go out on a Friday, and you don't see them until a Sunday. And there's it's not. Don't get me wrong. The culture of having fun is very much in this business, and we enjoy the best we can to have fun and do what we can to have fun. But the misconception of recruitment consultants all going out every day to the bar and getting drunk and talking crap, in other words, but that's
it's
not.
Okay, you can say it. No, it is.
It's not the case. There's a lot of people out there. Recruitment is definitely a career.
Mm-hmm.
It can be exactly what you want it to be, depending on the person you are. There's no doubt. Recruitment consultancy can be a career for the family man, for the single, for the single person. And again, we, from an outside perspective looking in on recruitment consultants, we don't take a cut of your wages. We don't charge you for our services. That arrangement is between us and the client. We don't just try and get bums on seats, so to say. So we don't just try and get, if an opportunity came to us where somebody's looking for 10 people, for example, for a call center, we don't just find the first 10 names that apply for a job and put them forward for that role. There's a lot of hard work goes into the background to make sure that the right person's put forward for that role. So, it's not just about bumps on seats. We are the professionals. We use the right kind of testing equipment to make sure people have the ability on Word, Excel, and PowerPoint that we say they do have. And if somebody has the sales experience and the ability, we've referenced that person under that ability with that past employer to make sure that they have that skill moving forward too. So it's not about bums on seats. We don't take a cut of your wage as a person coming in under an agency to find work. And we don't go out, well, as much as I'd probably like to, Jordan, go out and drink and be merry most of the time into the bars in Belfast after work. It's not the case.
Yeah, I know. Oh, it's all right. We're going to drink sometime soon, Darren.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
I know. And do you know what? Something I would just add to that, and something that Lee Passingham, our Andy, said a couple of weeks ago, and some clip before, that's always really stuck with me, is that you wouldn't learn to drive without an instructor, and you wouldn't go to court without a solicitor. A recruitment consultant, it's in their best interest to get you the best opportunity that they can, so being that you're the right candidate. So The next question I have, and I definitely have something I would want to mention on this, but are there any specific qualifications needed to get into recruitment? Do you need a business degree, for example?
Well, the right answer to this is no, you don't. Depending on where you are, everybody can be considered. I didn't. So let's look at me. I was an electrician from when I left school. I then left that opportunity. I didn't make a conscious. I had to leave that opportunity. Went to sales. I went into the world of call centers. I then went traveling. I then brought that together. My love of travel, my ability to sell. I was a travel consultant for a long, long time. And then I came into recruitment. But I didn't have the A levels or but what I do have is the want to really succeed in this business. And when I'm in this business, it's better still is the opportunity that I think everybody needs to look at as well. I've developed myself. As I said, I joined recruitment in February 2016. So what's that? Is that 9 years, Jordan? Am I in this 9 years?
9 years, I think, yeah.
Unbelievable. But over that period of time, I can't even count the amount of learning and development people that I've worked with. You know, every business has an unbelievable learning and development team that can tell you about recruitment, tell you how to succeed in recruitment, give you unbelievable sales training and sales abilities to go out and sell your services to a client, the ability of building rapport, the ability of finding that right place. They understand, how do we find that solution? So how do we talk to that client, identify their problem, and create the solution? That you're taught how to do that. So we can always find the right person, but we can teach the right ability. Okay.
Yeah.
And again, I've developed myself as well. I've been through the REC, which is a great organization who have upskilled me, and they have a lot of courses that are identified as qualifications. So I happily have a couple of letters beside my name, which I enjoy sticking on my business card. But I've identified a career that I wanted. I didn't necessarily have any qualifications coming into this career, but I've built those qualifications throughout the time in this career, and I'm happy with the self-development that I've done over that period of time.
Yeah, it's a perfect way to put it, to be honest with you. Perfect way to put it. And again, I'm thinking about like the people who are maybe early in their career or are looking for an opportunity to learn. Like if you've came out of I'll go back to it, like a marketing degree, or you've came out of like a computer science degree or something that is a big applied subject, I would really encourage anyone to spend a year recruiting in that field, even if it's 2 years, because the experience that you get in dealing with clients, dealing with candidates, learning about the actual job and what the good qualities are, it's almost like doing on-job research, if that makes sense. My best mate Cameron from home has a really good story. He finished his degree. I think he did something like sports. He didn't really want to practice in the area, so he took a job as a software development recruitment consultant. He was recruiting things like CNET, Python, all those sort of things. From that, he saw the coin that those people were earning basically from having that qualification, and went back and has now done his master's in software. So all through that time he was recruiting, he could have made connections with so many clients, he could have networked with different people, different hiring managers, and know what sort of candidates they want. So he now has come out of his computer science master's and is probably number one candidate, I would say, in Belfast, because he has both sides of the coin, so there's not even if you don't want to consider recruitment for a job forever, and we hate some words like stopgap, but use it as a way to network and use it as a way to learn about the industry would be my advice, I think.
I've employed in my career as recruitment, I've employed 18-year-olds just coming out of school. That they have an opportunity to come into this business as, admin, maybe resourcer, maybe consultant, senior consultant management. I've also recruited, senior managers in the hospitality game who have decided hospitality is not for me. I want to be home with my family on Saturdays and Sundays. I don't want to be sitting behind a check-in desk in a hotel at 9 o'clock on a Sunday morning. and they've came and used that skill
Yeah.
to come into recruitment and work in hospitality. So there's two sides of every story here as well.
Yeah, 100%. And like we haven't even touched upon like in-house or agency or things like that, like there's just so many routes to do it. And I honestly think, we can talk about it for hours, to be honest with you, but it's obviously benefited us too to a certain point, and I can think about others as well, and I even think like I obviously, again, I sit in business support. My job is all around marketing and advertising the clients and their opportunities. But I even feel like I have an extra level of knowledge because I spent some time resourcing, spent some time on the phones. You know the language that you can speak to these people in, and you sort of know how do I put it nicely? Candidates know when they're being lied to. I think really known. And we can go in and we can market to them hard, or we can advertise to them hard, but you have to tell them how it is every single time.
Yeah,
and I think having that perspective really, really helps. And then I think we're coming to the end of our questions here, Darren, but if anyone is thinking about making a shift into recruitment from another industry, you've just mentioned the candidate that came from hospitality, what do you think they need to consider?
They just need to focus on their skill set. We've mentioned it a couple of times here. If they're coming into the industry, just focus on what you're good at. We can teach everything else, and we can give you the support that you need. But coming from hospitality into recruitment, focus on that world. What way does it operate? What is shift patterns? What kind of person are they looking for? Because ultimately you're going to go out finding that person for that client, and you're going to use that strength as well. So you're coming in from a hospitality background into recruitment. You're going to be reaching out to other hospitality businesses to say, hey, this is me. I've came from this industry. I'm now recruiting. I know what people you need. I understand your business, so I can find you the right person. And that's how you build a great rapport with the client. And on the flip side of things, when you're talking to a candidate who potentially is coming into the business, wants to try hospitality, because it's not necessarily a skilled industry, apart from chefing or what have you. But if they wanted to come into hospitality from that industry and they didn't have those skills, using that product knowledge can make sure that this person is absolutely 100% on board with no prerequisites that they weren't aware of coming in that business. On the flip side of things, if you're coming from management, administration, clerical, you're using that, again, that skill set, that knowledge of that industry to go out and find clients, tell them I've come from that business. I understand what your business is. I understand the people you need. I can go and find the right people for you. And then on the flip side, when you're going to find the right person, if that person needs upskilling, we can upskill them with the right mentorship, with the right guidance. We can give that person the right advice. We can give that person the right interview prep as well. Remember, it's us being the middle person. We're going to find out exactly what that job role is from the client, but we're also going to give that candidate going into that role the best advice possible.
Yeah. No, that's perfect. That's perfect. Before I let you go, Darren, can you give me your top 3 reasons on why people should get into recruitment?
I got into recruitment in 2016, and I never want to leave recruitment.
Okay.
I have worked with the best people I could ever imagine working with. I've been under the best leadership I could ever imagine being under, and my career is solid. I'm now supporting my family financially through a great earning potentials, and recruitment is really, really good too. But yeah, if you want to work with a great team, there's no doubt, if you want to work in a great team under great leadership with great development opportunities, I think that recruitment's definitely for you.
And that's the end of today's episode. I just want to say a huge thank you to Darren for joining me. If you're looking for a new role, why not check out Brook Street Recruitment for our latest job postings? There may just be a dream role on there for you. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with a friend, and please remember to follow us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thank you so much, and I'll see you later.